Alright, hello everyone, and welcome to this second game that we're going to cast on this Friday night, second of four. I'm joined here with Mr. GPN. This is his first stream on Voobly Official, and we have, on the right side, Dark Noob playing as the Burmese, and on the left, Gosselin playing as the Mayans. I don't know too much about these players. I played Dark Noob quite a few times. He's pretty good. Gosselin I've never seen before. What do you know about these players?
Can I just quickly ask, what game time are you at?
I'm at 50 seconds. I think it takes me a little longer than normal to get in the game. I'm not sure why.
Yeah, I'll just pause real quick, 10 seconds, no problem. What I know about Dark Noob is the meme of arena players. He is the original OG King of HD. So, you know what to expect. But yeah, everyone knows who Dark Noob is in the arena community. And yeah, there's not much else to say other than it's just a meme. That's quite decent at arena.
Hopefully you find out why. Yeah, that's probably why I know Dark Noob, is because he plays on HD. Obviously, he's got the HD next to his name. Anytime you're on Voobly and you advertise that you're from HD, you're automatically a meme, and people will tend to make fun of you. I used to brag a long time ago that I started out on HD, and that's not something you want to brag about.
Well, I'm on Voobly Official. I'm not going to say what I think, but. As for this Gilbert guy, absolutely not a clue. It's definitely someone Smurf, but I don't know who it is. So...
It's French? You think maybe possibility it's Eddie?
No, it's probably just like not legit French. Like, you know, those
oh, okay.
very
yeah, you can change the flag.
Afghanistani accounts that are... Because Afghan's top of the country list.
Alright, so this is a Mayans and Burmese war. We pretty much know how Mayans go on Arena if you've watched any Age of Conquerors games. They like to go for plumed archers, sometimes they like to go for eagles, that's about it. And sometimes they like to go forward a little bit. What do you think about this particular matchup? I'm thinking that the Mayans may have the Burmese number.
Well, I mean, generally, I've never found Burmese to be as good of a civ as other people do. It's a much stronger Arabia civ because obviously, like, especially in TGs, when you just get iron by, you're raiding all over the place. It's pretty broken. But when I've played arenas Burmese, I just don't like them too well. It's not quite great, but it's mainly my play style. But traditionally, plumes murder iron by really. Like, quite good archers tend to murder iron by. That's why they don't survive too well in imp against things like Arbalest.
Absolutely, with that one pierce armor, certainly the. And remember, if they have one weakness, it might be archer-type units, and the Mayans do that better than any other civilization. As well, if the Mayans wants to go for a castle, that'll shut down any sort of monk aggression that the Burmese tend to go for. But you're right, definitely the Burmese are highly touted by a lot of players. Some players might even consider them the best arena civilization. At least that's from what I've heard, with their monk technologies having a discount and a pretty good economy with the wood bonuses for free. But I just don't see what unit combination is going to work against the Mayans. The Burmese, they don't get... I don't think they get bombard cannons, although I could be wrong. Let me check right now. I don't think they do. And
it's weird, but they do.
Oh, they do?
They really shouldn't have them, but they do. It's...
Well, they don't get hand cannons, so it's a little weird. But... So, that might be something that they could use against the Mayans, maybe. They don't get hand cannons, they don't get great arbalests. They don't get some... Maybe elephants might be a good option, but I'm kind of struggling to think of what the army composition will be late game. But
the elephants are not going to happen. They're too expensive, too clunky, and they'll just die to mine halbs, which aren't that expensive. I mean...
Yeah, I assume so.
Also, I think it's in most situations that Burmese skirms are worse than Turk skirms, if I'm right. Don't know entirely sure. It's because of the one armor upgrade. They're really...
Turkish skirms really are actually not the worst in the game, but... They're pretty bad either way. That armor is really important for skirmishers. So that's not an option for them. So yeah, that's really what I'm looking for this game, is how does Dark Noob, utilize his civilization, which is traditionally a good civilization on Arena, but might not be good in this particular matchup.
I mean, you gotta take a look at Dark Noob's map. Again, it's like a pretty cheap map. He has a nice safe second stone in the back, a very safe main gold, very safe second gold. Those extra... It's better to have 4 tiles in the back than a 3 tile. It's really, yeah, quite a useful edge. Not a great main stone, but that's not the end of the world. So, he could do quite a lot of things, and he definitely could boom. He could boom to something like, Champion Onager, which is quite a good counter to most meso civs. The problem is you don't really want to be smushing meso civs. with most civs, if you smush them, they've got scouts, and you can cheaply counter them with something like spears. But you just can't cheaply counter Eagle Warriors, which will come to kill your monks. So it's generally you don't smush mess with civs.
Is Champion Onager legit combination? Usually I don't see that too often.
It's probably one of the strongest common combinations in the game. I mean, Hull Onager, yeah, Hull Bram is probably the most common, but Champ Onager, it's one of the most unbeatable combinations. I mean, mines don't have the easiest time being it.
Something interesting, I didn't know that too much. Unfortunately, I don't think the Burmese get Siege Onager, but maybe regular Onager would do.
Unless you've been watching clips of Stark, as most people in the chat should be able to know from Reddit. That was good, where Stark was crying about how someone nerfed Burmese by taking away Siege Onagers, where they never had them.
Stark is a troll sometimes. Gosselin moving on to Stone, so very likely we'll go with an early castle, which could be used aggressively, could be used defensively. Either way, it's a great play for the Mayans, I think, to go for an early castle. And Dark Noob with 2 on gold doesn't really tell us a whole lot, but I wouldn't be surprised to see a boom from him. You think you go 1 monastery, try to scoop up those relics real quick, or go straight boom?
I'm not entirely sure what Dark Noob's doing when he added the 3rd one to gold. It's a little bit early and preemptive for my striking, so it does give me the feeling he wants gold options in early Castle Age. But I don't know. It does feel very, very monk oriented, really. I mean, he's not on a second lumber camp. He has quite a lot on berries. 5 on berries is usually what you want to do if you want to up quite fast. His lack of wood really is worrying me that this is probably going to be some kind of monks via some mesosiv. It's dubious at best is how I'd describe this.
Alright, so already I've learned a few things. The Champion Onager is a good combination. I didn't know that 5 villages on berries is something typical of Arena. I don't watch too many Arena games, so that's pretty good to know. And then the 3 on gold is probably indicative more of a what do you call it?
Aggression early castle.
Yeah.
Usually. Well, I mean, there's nothing wrong with going 5 on berries or pretty much any map. But on Arena, if you're doing very fast up builds, because you're still FCing, you're still making use of all the food. On something like Arabia, if you do like 22 pop-up, then, you know, the amount of food doesn't matter that much. It's just how quickly you get it, because usually you finish the good food by the time you click up. But when you're FCing, you know, it's more about the amount of food you have, so... And the 5th one to berries can really help you with that.
And let me ask you one more question, later, so. Since your Arena knowledge is a lot larger than mine. How many farmers do you think you should have going up to Castle Age if you want to go, like, 3 TCs or any strategy?
Depends if you're pushing deer or not, and it depends on your civ. I mean, are we talking like, let's say generic civ like Vietnamese wanting to 3 TC boom?
Sure.
Like, let's just say 3 deer or no deer.
Usually you have deer, so usually with deer.
Yeah, in Arena you'd kind of expect to push deer. If you do like 3 deer, if I was in a 1v1 situation, what I would do is a 26 plus 2. And that would be something like a 9 on with Dark Age. And that way, as soon as you hit Castle Age, then you could build a monastery and then 2 TCs pretty much right after. For that, I would probably up with maybe 3 or 4 farms when in Dark Age. And then add the rest after getting Horse Collar. Probably for about 6 or 7 in total.
Okay. Very interesting. That's one of the biggest, I think one of the biggest skill gaps is really getting a fine tuning of, you know, build orders and really a great knowledge of how to macro manage your resources. So that's pretty useful for me. Looks like we're going to see a monastery coming up right away for Dark Noob. And he's going to go after those relics nice and quickly here. Probably not for some aggression, but just wants to get those relics really quickly before the Plumed Archers come out. Of course, it takes a little longer for the castle to get down, for Plumed Archers to be made, because that's how it works when you get a castle out. So there might be a window of opportunity here for Dark Noob to scoop up those relics.
I'm a little bit confused about Dark Noob's build here, because he seems to want to go for what I suggested, but he had, you know, a decent build, but staying 1 lumber camp and not really having enough on wood early enough has really slowed down the extra 3 TCs. I mean, it's about 16-minute mark, which is, you know, after someone doing a 28 plus 2 hits Castle Age, where he adds a 3rd TC. It's a bit, it's a little bit odd. I think he's probably not playing that one all too perfectly. Maybe he wanted to be on gold just in case he needed to, I don't know, have some kind of response to any early aggression. Because you gotta remember, mines can also do things with siege towers, not only eagles, but just crossbows. They still have cheaper crossbows, so it's still a really nice strategy for mines to go especially against a monk civ, so they can kill monks. If they're trying to build a castle to go UU like Arambai, then you know that castle still gets sniped by fast up expos. So.
And while you're here, one more question. So I see the horse collar upgrade coming in from Gosselin, and it looks like he's probably. Do you think he's going 1 TC, 1 TCM?
He has a lot on wood. I actually don't think he has enough on gold to actually make plumes at this rate, but the fact he's not hammering on the wood seems to indicate hammering on the gold, but hammering on the wood seems to indicate maybe he wants to add the TC.
I just found the horse collar upgrade pretty interesting. Not the horse collar, the heavy plow upgrade.
Oh, heavy plow. Usually when I do heavy plow, it works better in situations where you want to spend a long time in Castle Age. That's kind of just literally how I judge it. If you're doing something like a really quick 3 TC up, then you tend not to get heavy plow. If you're doing some kind of 1 TC push, then you tend to not even get that many eco upgrades in general. But yeah, but if you're planning to spend a long time in Castle Age, you know, like all in investment, and yeah, it's better to get heavy plow because you're not caring about delaying imp, you're caring about having a stronger Castle Age.
Interesting. I'll keep it in mind. So those are all things that I find very useful. Hopefully the viewers will as well. Looks like Gosselin is going to take the monk on the right. Going to get, what, 2 hits on the monk, and it's going to go down. We have a second relic coming in from Dark Noob, so at least he's gotten 2. But at this point, unless we have some great conversions, it looks like Gosselin will take the map control. And if he wants, maybe he should be able to take the rest of these relics. There's 3 relics left on the map.
Well, Gosselin did play well. He managed to, he added a monster as soon as he could, not a Siege Workshop. And I actually think that's good play, because if you're going to take the map control, you might as well make good use of it, you know. You want to make sure that if you run out of resources inside your base or they're running low, if you have map control, start taking the resources outside, be a bit safe. But make sure you also get the relics if you can, because they're pretty important. Especially when doing something like Burmese, something that could go quite late game. I mean, mines, they kind of die when they run out of gold. They don't have good answers to things like, you know, quite cheap on gold units from Burmese like champions, or, you know, even Halbs can still do quite well against the Eagles with the extra attack.
And I think as well, the Mayans might not maximize their population as efficiently as other civilizations because they're a bit of a cheaper civilization. So I think that, you know, late game those relics might play a better role as far as that not having to have as many on gold. But that's very small detail. Right now in the game we have, what, 2 town centers only from Gosselin, so he's falling behind in villagers. In fact, he's 15 villagers behind, although eventually we'll have 1 more relic. And Dark Noob mounting a siege defense. Dark Noob's kind of really pulling ahead in economy.
Well, what I see here from Gosselin is that he is adding a reasonable number of farms. Like, he had enough farms to run 2 TCs, but, you know, he's got the extra 6 in the mill, for example. It's just... Look at these numbers, especially the way he's going really heavily on the gold. I think he wants to imp quite fast, a nice 2 TC into a quite fast imp. He could actually, as long as he starts putting some damage on Dark Noob right now, like if Dark Noob has to respond to, for example, Mangonel knocking down his wall, then Dark Noob's going to be delayed going up. And with just being on 2 TCs, Gosselin can actually imp quite fast, so we can see Trebs to counter responses like castles, that kind of thing. So Plumes and Trebs can really do huge damage here, even just a couple of Mangonels.
What I'm looking for right now is that Gosselin has the map control, he's got the army, he's going to have a siege tower coming out, and he's also got enough stone for a castle.
Siege tower is actually quite a nice move here. We don't see it nearly enough, but we usually see it when we do as an opening in Castle Age to get in like early expos or something. But here we're just going to see Plumes coming in. Dark Noob has internal walled quite well, but that palisade is not going to last too long. And I don't think that Mangonel is, but Scorpions from Dark Noob, that is an essential move. Scorpions kill most ranged units at the same time as infantry.
At the same time, the Plumed Archer is so mobile that, you know, Mangonel... I like the Mangonel and Scorpion combination, to be honest. That's my favorite.
It really shows some, you know, quite intelligent play.
And I love that we get to see in these expansions these new units, the Siege Tower and the Scorpions being added a lot more than it used to be. But Loom coming in right now for Dark Noob, wants to get his villagers a little stronger. Didn't need it before. And I wonder if we're going to see this forward castle from Gosselin. He's got to have a lot of stone at this point. Yeah, he's up to 750 and still mining. Do you think he should have already come forward and maybe built a castle? Make sure you have the push to talk on.
Yep, completely forgot about that. But called it. But if he instead of making the siege tower, decide to make, you know, a ram example, and he already broken him by now, he would still be facing a couple of scorpions and a mangonel. I don't think he would have got a castle up if he came in to try and build it. But now if he tries to build one, you know, semi-forward, it might go up. But yeah, I think he should be a little bit worried about it. I mean, Dark Noob, of course, he's already up, so...
Yeah, Dark Noob already up. Gosselin, great micro, in fact, in taking that fight, preventing the Siege Workshop from going down. The Eagle just barely able to get that mangonel. Dark Noob's still hanging out behind his walls. He has to feel like he's in a decent position right now as he's going up with the castle. He's going up to Imperial Age faster, getting all of his eco upgrades. And now the choice is, what does he go for as far as Imperial Age army? Well, he's got 3 Siege Workshops. So I'm wondering, do we see Heavy Scorpion or Onager? Either way, it's going to be interesting.
Probably just Onager. I'm curious, what time are you at?
I'm at 27:03, 04, 05.
You somehow managed to drop another 30 seconds.
I don't know. I thought. You want to pause and I'll tell you when I'm at 27:30?
27:39, let me know when you're at that.
Alright. I don't know, that's pretty odd. So, I see some mangonels trying to, you know, take out the siege tower a little bit. Okay, 39, go.
Right. Demise Red had this problem. Then he added his... He added, Vibli... Well, Age of Empires and Vibli to his antivirus exception list. And for some reason that made it work perfectly fine.
I'll try that. But right now, forward castle from Gosselin. Don't know if this is the best move. Of course, as mines, he's going to have an extra castle on Dark Noob, most likely. But Dark Noob is still mining some stone, so he can go for the second castle. Either way, Dark Noob is going to get out with the trebuchet first. Going to start to hammer down this castle. And we'll see if Gosselin's going to be able to keep his castle up.
Well, my money is on Dark Noob wins this. Not because he's going to win the Treb War, because even though... Gosselin's village is there to repair his castle, obviously, so, you know, it's not going to be the end of the world if he does start getting Trebbed earlier. He has 2 castles to make Trebs, even when he's up later. But, you know, Dark Noob getting chemistry, I think that just any bomber cannons being added is going to win that war. But looking at resource-wise, I mean, Gosselin has very little, and Dark Noob is actually pretty much out of wood, so it's debatable.
Well, Gosselin really sacrificed a lot of his economy in the early game. I suppose to get that castle up early, and maybe messed up his build a little bit too. But Dark Noob has had the advantage as far as economy this entire game, and now Onager's halfway done, not quite done yet. And what is this play from Gosselin? Gonna try to take out the mangonels. That's a little risky.
I think Dark Noob has just been absolutely crazy here by even bringing these mangonels forward before Onager comes in. He's just wasting perfectly good units before... Oh, and am I going to see a mangonel walk into the range of a castle? Yep. Oh, that hurts. Really hurts to see. But, yeah, I think Dark Noob's in a decent position as long as he manages to get something out like Bomber Cannon.
So it looks like that castle will in fact go down. Description being research from the forward castle, so he's basically giving up on that. And no trebuchets coming out from Gosselin at home. Don't see really any other transition army from Gosselin at all, so he's fully committed to plumed archers from only a single castle, and he's going against onagers. That's interesting to say the least.
Well, my money right now is that... I mean, look at economy to army, we're looking at, you know, pretty much equal populations. But elite plumed archer coming in and chemistry at the same time, that's going to be quite good. Those onagers are probably going to get sniped. I don't think Dark Noob can get siege engineers anytime soon, but his economy's looking towards affording it. He's a bit heavy on the gold though, but still decently balanced. I like Dark Noob's position because it's just, you know, pretty balanced. He's got, you know, reasonable army with reasonable eco. He'd actually start pitching back now, but he hasn't got any like power units to play with. Arambai a little bit of a mistake though.
Starting to make some Arambai now, and he's also added his first barrack, so he can transition to other units. There's certainly something missing in his army composition at the moment, so what he decides to, you know, fill out this army composition might make or break his game going into the late game here. And same thing for Gosselin. He needs to transition to something else as well, although the plumed archers might do now well now for the time being.
I think the Iron Buy's a bit crazy though. I mean, Iron Buy Mangonel is strong, but Iron Buy Onager against, you know, pretty much almost post-imp mines, it just doesn't quite ring that strong. I mean, full Onager does actually is a really hard problem to beat, but
another castle for Gosselin in basically the same location, so he absolutely can't lose these castles in this location. Can't lose this this area of the map, or else he's not gonna have no more castles, of course. So looks like we might have a critical engagement coming up. There's that siege engineers upgrade that we talked about for the 1 extra range for the onagers and extra attack against the trebuchets. Here comes the plumed archers. Could see a big pit. Oh no! Oh no! Oh god, lost half of them. Oh god, that was horrible.
Yeah, they're plumes, they'll get over it.
I suppose they're gonna get healed up, but that was not the engagement that Gosselin wanted. And now 2 trebuchets already hitting the castles of Gosselin. Plumed Archer is gonna come forward one more time. They haven't learned their lesson apparently.
I'm actually kind of curious if Gosselin does win this Treb war. Is he going to use the Trebs to kill the Onagers? He's got some real balls, just infinitely out microing Dark Noob right now with the plumes on the Onagers.
Yeah, it does take a lot of balls, but he kind of has to do this. I don't think he can lose his castles. I think he's going to win the Treb war though, which is pretty great for him. And Elite Eagle Warrior being upgraded now.
Some nice hacks, I think, on his Trebs there. That's some Hun level accuracy.
Yeah. I think Dark Noob should definitely try to repair these trebuchets, keep them up. So now we're seeing... So the Rembai are essentially going to go against the Eagle Warriors when they come out. And I don't think that's the worst thing ever.
It's not particularly bad, but I just don't think it's going to work too well. I think the plumes are definitely going to be outmaneuvering everything here, though. Which is a little bit of an issue. That's the thing though, because you've got Iron Buy, which are fast units, with Onagers, which are slow. VS, Eagles and Plumes, which are both fast, so... It depends on how good your army control is, but I honestly think Mines can win this with, you know, quite a bit of micro. Like, some godlike stuff, but it's winnable.
Well, this is where that champion transition might be very useful for Dark Noob if he chooses to make it, but so far no indications he'll do that.
Yeah, I mean, even if you go both solo units, this arena, it's fine, but... I'm not entirely sure how well Champion Onager is going to work here when Dark Noob just isn't making enough Trebs to win the Treb war. He needs... I really think Dark Noob needs more BBC. If he has, like, you know, 5 of those, then just Trebs stand no chance, Castle stand no chance, and just camp your Onagers on your BBC and you're fine, so...
You think that just theoretically that Halbs would be, with the Burmese, the +3 attack would be decent against the Eagles?
Yeah, that'd be quite good. That's what I would say. It's if you are flowing trash resources but you're not pop capped, then probably the best thing you could do is just throw up a ton of ranges or a ton of racks and just make halbs or skirms. Anything to like fill your population if you're not pop capped yet, but you could afford to be. So it's easier than waiting on like whatever gold unit. Like if you're trying to make Iron Buy, you're going to take forever to get pop capped. So.
Except for that one mishap, pretty good micro from Gosselin throughout this game. Did split his Eagles to avoid the Mangonel shots. Now the Eagles are going to get tons of these Onagers and 4 trebuchets, 5 trebuchets in fact, setting up shop on top of that castle. That castle will go down instantly. Great micro from Gosselin. He could lose all of his plumed archers in 1 second, but he's not, as he's going to have some very nice split moves.
I reckon Noob is not microing his Onagers. I reckon he's just letting them attack.
Yeah, so all the Onagers down. Now we have 2 bombard cannons in the mix, a lot of Rambai. And so far, Gosselin really pushing back.
Yeah, I mean, the Eagles are now starting to clean up. I mean, Eldorado isn't in yet, no attack upgrades are in yet. But they're still just going to snipe the siege, so it looks like he doesn't want to really overcommit. He doesn't want to raid, he just wants to go straight plumes his power unit, and he's actually winning with them.
Yeah, there's some great micro, certainly. Good to now try to pick off those Rambai. The Rambai unfortunately only have 5 range, so 3 more range for the plumed archers. That's a big problem for the Rambai. Interestingly, Dark Noob has chosen his transition to be what? Light cavalry. Not the strongest thing in the world.
It's more of an addition because, you know, if you have a bunch of light cavalry that are getting one shot by
yeah.
plumes, it means nothing when Iron Buy are murdering the plumes, but I think at this point I would probably invest more into the Eagles. There we go, Eldorado coming in. More investment into the Eagles will kill, you know, the Iron Buyer are not going to do too well. They'll still kill the Eagles though, but with Plumes behind, no, and the Light Cav are going to be meaningless. So I think the stronger combination here now lies with the Mayan player, which, you know, generally is probably not the strongest late game Civ of all, but...
Yeah, at this point I'm really wishing the Burmese had something better to offer. The Rembai haven't been the best option against the Plumed Archers. The Onagers, of course, they can't go with the Siege Onager, so they haven't been as effective as they could be. And then we don't get Hussar for the Burmese either. So we're going to see only Light Cavalry.
That's the thing, I liked the Onager decision. The full Onager was great, but he had nothing really that great to defend it with. Armby is just not going to save it. Especially since he was just so out of position. I don't know why he wasn't protecting his Onagers with Armby.
Yeah, and a lot of that comes down to micro too. Just good micro by Gosselin and no micro with the Onagers.
Yeah, I haven't seen a single attack around this game, to be honest.
But even these Light Cavalry not fully upgraded, we're gonna have to wait for +4 armor for them to do anything against the Plumed Archers. Let's see if we see those magic shots. No, not quite yet.
Not one single attack round.
Oh, there, that was a good one, but still, a lot of the Plumed Archers still left.
Go 4 Plumes. It's not ideal. Not the game-winning shot he needs to win this.
Yeah, not
as you see, even Ironby are having a hard time taking out the Eagles.
Yeah, the Light Cav certainly are not doing a great job either. So a lot of momentum right now for Gosselin. He's got his army composition, just needs to make more of it. Maybe if he could have even a 3rd castle, that would be great for his production. Desperation time as these trebuchets start to whittle away a little bit at the Plumed Archers, but it's not going to be enough. And this wave of blue units just keeps coming and keeps pushing in. Maybe last thing that Gosselin might need is a few siege ramps, but that's about it.
Yeah, what I'm seeing with Darnop here is that Ironby was probably misplay. If he went champion, he probably would have straight up won the game. But I think he was just miscommunicating his army. Like, you know, he's keeping his siege as one thing, he was keeping his Ironby as another, and his Trebs as a third. I think he really should have just viewed his Ironby and Onagers as the same army, kept them immediately together, and then Trebs or BBC is his secondary army for siege. That way he can split up a bit.
Oldham in the chat asked no elephants, because elephants are really hard countered by both halbs and monks. We don't see those from Gosselin now, but as soon as he sees elephants, he's going to start making those. So that would not be the best option.
Elephants cost more in my house, I'm not going to lie. It's just absolutely...
They're very bad at protecting Onagers too, they're so slow. So that doesn't make sense.
I mean, have you seen that Elite Battle Elephant upgrade cost lately? It's pretty intense.
It looks like Gosselin will get one more castle, leaving only one castle for Dark Noob. And yeah, I just don't see anything to slow down this push. We see a little bit of competition for the stone in the north. Of course, Gosselin's going to win that with a castle going up on it. Great to get extra resources. Those Onagers almost getting a lucky shot, but not quite there yet, as the Eagles are going to pick all 3 off.
I reckon this game could be turned around at least 40 different occasions with some attack rounds. This is...
Yeah, shows the importance of micro. Such a macro-oriented game, though. And really just showing off the power of the Mayans. This is how you pretty much perfectly play Mayans. This combination is just so good against a large amount of units, but really it's how Gosselin has been using them. How Gosselin has been using his Plumed Archers and using his Eagle Warriors to the best of their abilities.
Yeah, he's had, you know, pretty much limitless micro here to actually make sure everything kills something, so...
Yeah, or the Plumed Archers avoid the Onagers, or the Eagles go after the Onagers. And that's really all he needs. Those 2 units, perfect combination. That's why the Mayans are such a dangerous civilization.
Something I'm a little bit odd about here is, I would personally like to see Dark Noob overbooming a little bit. That way he can mix in some units, either skirms to kill the Plumes or halves just to help meet shield against the Eagles, because he doesn't have the food economy to keep making Hussars as trash. Well, like I mean. So I would like to see more in terms of that kind of unit from Dark Noob just to fill up his population. A little bit of an overboom, but he could get like an extra 30 units. I mean, Gilbert is kind of doing the same, 92 villagers for most of the game now. He's 140 pop, 150 pop. I think his highest has been 160 or something. So I think he's dangerously underboomed. I think he's just not paying enough attention to actually making sure that he has the army and the economy to make it, I mean. But, you know, he's using the army he does have so well that you can forgive him.
I think it's a good point. I think it's pretty hard to overboom in Age of Empires. I think really you overboom if you're not able to, if your population is too occupied by villagers, because you're up against the population cap, and that's clearly nowhere near where these players are at this point. So I certainly more villagers would be useful. You try to fill out that population a bit. And just what I would see, maybe a few capped rams or siege rams to clean up some of these buildings from Dark Noob. And that's it, just keep the opponent in the base, and once you've cleaned up the buildings, obtain full map control, I don't think your opponent's going to be able to push out.
Is Gilbert going to place an inside castle? Oh, he's building the castle where... No, it's outside. If he had this castle inside, that would just be the ballsiest, best ending to a game ever, but, you know, it's good. It's good where it is. I'll accept it. But
where, in the north?
Really heavy light calf.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, that's a good. I think that's a good place to place it. I wouldn't take any huge risks with it.
Yeah, I'm thinking maybe, you know, he doesn't want to have a game ender if it risks him, you know, maybe not having the plumes that he needs, because it's going to be quite helpful. Dark Noob's still not got Iron.
Oh! Okay, good hit on the plumed archers. A lot of them went down, but that was about it. Sorry about that. I cut you off.
Oh, I mean, you gotta remember, plumes can survive quite a lot of everything.
Yeah, it is surprising.
Rate, though,
strong
he's walled out. That's unfortunate.
So I think that I think Gosselin just controlled that last gold, and that should be game. And I think that maybe Gosselin's making a small mistake that a lot of newer players make, is they never make enough siege. So it's very hard in Age of Empires to close out games if you don't make siege. You don't take out your opponent's production buildings. Hopefully he'll remedy that sometime soon. Dark Noob now transitioning to some of the worst skirmishers in the game, in the Burmese skirmishers. That's not going to do a whole lot for him.
I prefer Turk skirms, but it's just if he adds the trash to make sure that 164 pop turns into 200, he has a much better chance. I mean, what's his economy looking like now? I mean, look at his resources. What is that? What is that? That's
I've been seeing him this whole game. Just he's had those 4 stables that were south of Gosselin's castle, but they were all queued up with like 15 light cav each of them. So he really could have done a better job adding more military production buildings. And that's again another mistake that we see of a lot of newer players, and certainly experts can make that mistake too.
Yeah, I'm thinking. As I said, it's a little bit dubious in this one. More military building is always good. As I always say though, if you're flowing a bunch of trash resources, wood and food, then just add racks, just add ranges, make whatever unit. It just pads out your army by 40, and even if it dies, it still meets shield, so that prevents your unit from dying as long. So.
And now Gosselin controlling that last gold. Dark Noob's. Yeah, just checking Dark Noob's gold. Dark Noob only has the gold from his relics now, so losing that gold is very big from him. He needs to refresh his lumber camps as well. But, yeah, no more gold for him, so without gold, what is he going to make? Skirmisher? And light cavalry. That's not going to cut it. Now even the Eagle's just cleaning up the archery ranges. And, I get... Not too much more to say. I think just Gosselin should be able to maybe put the nail in the coffin, push in. I don't know. I don't know if there's any chances for Dark Noob to win this game. Certainly, you can look at the score. Do you think there's any chances in any reality that Dark Noob has any chances at this game?
If Dark Noob still had 4,000 gold left, then he could probably try to turn this one around, because he just needs the gold to transition into Onagers again. If he gets Onagers back up, he has a chance, but if he pairs them with the right units this time. But yeah, he has no gold, so he has literally no chance.
I mean, the only thing I could say is that both players will be at 200 population pretty soon. So far this game, I don't think we've seen that. But that's literally the only thing I could see. There's that ballsy castle that we wanted to see earlier. If that goes up, that'll probably be the game right there. And there's just so much. Eagle Warriors are so strong when all we have is skirmishers and just a few are by. But this is a very strong army for Gosselin.
Even with that many by, you're still not going to be doing too much damage to those eagles.
Well, the thing
Everything's
is,
just coming in
they
through
just
the
can't
river.
fire fast enough to deal with the Eagles. It's just too many. And I think that's going to be it. That's probably going to be the GG fight for this game.
I'd reckon GG was about 5 minutes ago, but
Yeah, probably.
I like to call when I'm beat. I don't like to darken a bit, as we say.
Well, there we go. There we go. Maybe he's trying to, maybe he's just trying to add to his meme status.
he's putting the noob in dark noob.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, if you look at like 110 military from Gosling, but like, how many Eagle Warriors is that? 35 he's got sitting outside Dark Noob's base, just next to his racks.
So Dark Noob going to try to go for those trebuchets, but again, those light cav they're missing 2 attack. They're not Hussar, so they're not going to get so many trebuchets. And now those trebuchets going to have free reign at about, I don't know, half of Dark Noob's base. I don't even know how Dark Noob's going to continue with production with most of his economy gone.
I like Dark Noob's way of keeping his villagers alive so far. He's actually done a decent job of not losing everything to just a few Eagles raining him. But the villager count's suddenly going down. He's lost 10 so far. He's gonna lose more. But those light caps just aren't great.
Well, right now the biggest thing is his food economy is being hurt. He lost a lot of farms when he lost that town center. The top military production buildings are being split with the plumed archers in the middle of the base. Eagle Warrior's going to push in now. Dark Noob can take this fight, but I don't think he's going to win it. And I love the forward barracks from Gosling trying to solidify his position.
Yep. Always build as you go. I mean, look at Gosling's resources. That's what I call a balanced economy. He's actually, you know, turned every resource he has into army.
Yeah, certainly, but... well, at least he's refreshed his lumber camps. That's positive. But, at least the Light Cavalry did get a few trebuchets. Dark Noob is trying to build a little bit towards the south, although that's pretty much getting denied. And now with Gosling adding in some more Eagle Warriors, it's going to make it even harder. And now the Eagle Warriors going straight after the villagers, and I think this is going to be it. What is it?
Dark Noob is just straight up taking the piss at this point, and there we go, GG called after all this time.
Finally. There you go, GG. So, thoughts for this game?
I mean, mines, I hate mines because my playstyle is a lot of turtling to late game for being in a better position. And I'm not a big fan of mines just because their late game is just not that great, but I've always hated Burmese for pretty much the same reason. I'm not so much into the all 1TC stuff, I'm more into getting a good position and making good use of it. I don't like Burmese as a... I like him as like a flank in a TG, but just not really 1v1. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, they have some good all-in strats, but they're really countered by the fact that mines are meso, so it really stops monks and stuff. But good echoes as well also counters that. Plumes destroy iron by... What can Burmese do? Nothing. I mean, the one option I would go is like, if I was in a TG pocket, I would do something like Howdah Elephants, but that's never happening in a 1v1.
Mm-hmm. I think, again, with this drawn-out ending, we probably said it all already at this point, but some of this did come down to that micro. Those onagers, if they had gotten a lot of shots on the plumed archers, we saw at one point Dark Noob was pushing. He was pushing on the second castle Gosling, and the first castle was right next to it. Had he got some great onager shots, maybe he would have been able to take out both castles, and with both castles out, don't have to worry about the plumed archer anymore. But there was a shot there with that onager combination, but perhaps they weren't supported properly by the Arimbai and later the light cavalry.
Well, yeah, if he was at a really sweet spot in that point in Imperial when basically Gosling didn't have any real Eagle Warrior upgrades, he was just starting to get them. I think then if he had, instead of Arimbai, he had Champ and Onager, he would have really just demolished any army. And, you know, quite confident win, I think. But he tended not to go for that. I mean, I do like Gosling's play. That would be exactly how I would play it, because if you were in a superior to win position because they can't push and they also can't really late game against you, then 2TC is really nice because you get a best of both worlds. You can attack them quite early, cause them some pressure, which they're weak to, and then you've still got some decent economy. So when you actually make it to the late game, you're not going to just die to having a weaker economy. So he played really well. I'm a big fan of how he played this. Maybe not that he went for enough villagers early on. He capped at 90, maybe 110 would have been a bit better, but it was a really nice play.
All right, and we'll be moving on to what is game 4 for us, but the third game in the series. Let's take a 3-minute break, and we'll be back.
Yep.
Thanks everyone for joining us. This is Mr. GPN's first casting on Vuble Official. Hope you guys enjoy. And I'll be back in a few minutes. I'm going to stretch out a little, get some water, as we have that hydration bot in the chat. Thanks everyone for joining us. Next game will be up soon. It'll be game 3 on your screen.
All right, we ready?
All right, and I'm back.
All right.
let me load up the next game. Alright, you ready?
Yep. G4.
Alright, 3,
for us.
2, 1, go.